The James Show Podcast.
I don't know. I'm in a pretty good mood today. I guess I woke up on the right side of the bed, but it's a day of love. I guess love is in the air. Top story. Whether you care about it or not, you should care about it. But the top story, Taylor Swift engaged to Travis Kelce. Let me tell you why you care. Number one thing is, like about an hour before the show starts every day, I usually check in on Google Trends or the what's trending on Twitter or what's trending on Instagram or what's trending on some social media feed just to make sure like I didn't miss anything. And today was perfect. Today, the top trending terms in Dallas-Fort Worth in the last 4 hours before the James Show started. Number one was Taylor Swift. Number two was Travis Kelce. So if you don't care, you need to ask yourself, why do so many other people care? What is so damn important about this? You need to ask yourself, what are you missing? Because in this, okay, number one, we can all admit this doesn't affect your life one bit. Doesn't affect my life one bit. I'm still going to get the same electric bill I was going to get otherwise. It doesn't affect the price of groceries. Doesn't affect, my kid's educational career. Doesn't affect my professional career. Doesn't affect my dog. Doesn't affect Miss Parker. Doesn't affect...
I Miss Parker.
But let me tell you why you should care. Taylor Swift cannot be the Taylor Swift she is now much longer. This is the natural evolution of the pop star. And she is taking the same fork in the road so many other girl bosses take. Because whether you're a billionaire, a millionaire, or just a regular old middle class, well-intentioned lady, you can go out and you can have a successful career. But at some point, there's going to be a fork in the road. Are you going to just continue being a pop star for the rest of your life? Or are you going to fulfill your real purpose? And that is fall in love, find a soulmate, get married, have kids, spend time raising them, make sure they're okay. And when they get to be adults and they have kids, maybe you can help out a little bit with them. Your focus should become your family. Now, we see how this turns out in the real world. Some people make a couple of albums or even a few albums, and then they just get married and disappear. They just go away and then never to be seen again. And that's okay. It's almost admirable. Wow, look, they went out, they made a whole bunch of money, and they quit while they were ahead, and now they're doing the family thing. They have a bunch of money, a big pile of money to do it with. Isn't that great? And then some of them can't let it go. I think Exhibit A for that one would be Madonna. So you're Taylor Swift, you're in your mid-30s. Just like any girl boss in her mid-30s, you've had a good career. But what does that mean? You want to spend the rest of your life alone? When do you want to find someone? Do you want to have a family? Do you want to at least have a serious conversation about a family? Or do you want to just hop from boyfriend to boyfriend like Madonna did? And at the end of your life, you're going to be in hospice, in a bed. Who's going to stand around you? Anybody? Because for these people who don't have a family, who don't get married and have kids and have some sort of life partner, I mean, who do you expect is going to be there? Who you even living your life for? Just yourself? Well, that's not very noble. And you're capable of much more than that, whether you're Taylor Swift or just a regular girl boss who has a great career. So I'm really interested in this because this could be Taylor Swift taking the other fork in the road. Maybe she does want to fall in love and get married and start a family. Maybe she does want to evolve into something else. But if she does choose door number 2, the trad wife route. I love that term, trad wife. You mean just wife, just normal? Yes, it's now trad, traditional. If she does take that road, she's going to have a lot of Swifties watching her. She's going to have a lot of influence over people that you don't talk to, I don't talk to. They don't listen to me. They don't listen to WBAP. They don't care what James says on the James Show. I'm an old man. I'm like middle-aged and have a little bit of gray hair coming in on the sides. I'm a dork. I'm like their dad's friend. Can't even dance well. Has no hit songs. Doesn't date anyone in the NFL. But what happens with all these millions of fans when they watch her get married, if they watch her have kids? Because is she going to also evolve politically? There seems to be an interesting pattern. Many people have noticed, you included, of people when they're young and they're single and they're just getting started out, they have a tendency to be more lefty. And as they grow up and they get a mortgage and they get a career and they pay taxes and they get married and they have kids, you start to see that evolution to the right. this may not amount to anything big, but you may look back in this moment 5-10 years from now and be like, boy, this was a huge fork in the road. This is a big turning point. Because many people in their life do the classic evolution, politically speaking, where you go from left to right over the course of, your 20s and 30s and 40s. And we saw that recently. I think one of the great recent examples of this is a comedian named Whitney Cummings. Are you familiar with Whitney Cummings? Do you know her? Is she someone that's on your radar at all? Because I'm a fan. Absolutely, I'm a fan. But she has always been a complete lefty, and that's okay. Her comedy wasn't extremely political, but she did like a lot of feminist stuff where it was the same old, men are stupid. Aren't men stupid? Oh my God, they're stupid. And I can laugh at that because men are stupid, but it was so one-sided. I mean, it got kind of tiresome, but overall, hilarious. And she does this one thing that I really respect in a female comedian, that if you're hot, you downplay your appearance. You don't show cleavage or wear a short skirt or anything. She dressed really normal. She didn't play up her appearance. In fact, she played down her appearance. She'd just have her hair down, usually back in a ponytail. And so she didn't even use that as a crutch, her appearance. And we all got an awakening on the CNN New Year's Eve broadcast because they brought in some comedians to roast 2024. And Whitney Cummings came out and did a bunch of jokes that sounded like they could have been written by the ghost of Rush Limbaugh. And it was hilarious. And so then earlier this year, she did an interview on the Bill Maher show where she explained her political conversion. And I think Taylor Swift is following this template. And she may very well have a similar story. But first, let me take you back. We're going to go back all the way to, well, I guess New Year's Eve. We don't need a time machine for that. Well, I guess we do need a time machine for that. But this is from the roast. And check this out. This woman who had been doing lefty jokes her entire career just comes out swinging.
Documentaries finally realized the only way to make money is to just make them about cheerleaders. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleader doc showed the girls being treated horribly, underpaid, crying. I thought I'd open a video on Hunter Biden's laptop. 2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I off?
Go for it.
It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer.
Dang.
Or Moderna, whichever one's... Oh, God. Andy just gave me a very scary look.
No!
We all agree the government totally knows what drones are and are telling us. The drones are still up there, and we have no idea what's behind them. No idea. I mean, they're still up in the sky, so I guess we can rule out that they were made by Boeing. The point is, I think we all agree on a lot of things. And since I only have a minute left live on Establishment Media, why don't we just say a bunch of things that we know that they'll never cover? Okay, ready, go. Trump Jr. didn't have any silverware in his house. No one thought that was weird? Okay, so are we still rolling? Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia put money into Disney, so just know there won't be any girl characters in the next Cars movie. Are we still rolling? This is wild. Okay, why have so many presidents' chefs died? Weird.
Yeah, okay, so we're all just dumbfounded. People who watch such things and keep up with comedy and comedians and whatnot. Where did this come from? I'm telling you, that sounds the exact opposite of what she had been her entire career. And listen, I think we might see something similar with Taylor Swift. One thing that's kind of annoying about Taylor Swift is how political she has gotten in the last few years and how, okay, it's overwhelmingly left. All right, you put Lena Dunham in your videos. We got it. You're a lefty. You like Democrats. Republicans are stupid. But when Whitney explains what made her switch and drift toward conservative sounds a lot like what's going on or what could go on in the next steps after Taylor and Travis are just simply engaged. Is this in her future?
It's been fascinating because I've been on this sort of journey through motherhood where, I've always been a very liberal person, maybe even a libtard. But once you have a kid, you start having thoughts that have been characterized as conservative. Yes. As soon as I had a kid, I was like, I need a gun now. Not for myself, because I've got coyotes in my yard. Right. I've got coyotes everywhere. And before I had a kid, I was like, they coexist with us. Coyotes were here first. I'm in the coyotes' home. Now I'm like, let's make hats out of them. Let's make hats. Let's make coyote boots, coyote earrings out of their eyeballs. It's just...
So, is this your story? We're in a metropolitan area of 8 million people, half of which are ladies. some of which are even listening to this show right now. Is this what happened to you? Is this why you're listening to WBAP? What converted you? What made you go from being the feminist girl boss, I don't need any man in college in your 20s, to the lady that's listening to WBAP at 2:20 in the afternoon on a Tuesday? Because I hear a lot of these stories, and I don't know if I just hear them because I'm me and I'm a talk show host and people reach out to me because they want to tell me these stories. Hey, I love your show. This is how I got turned on to it. Or do you have a similar story to this? Because I love observing the evolutionary process that happens to these young ladies. Here's a viral video I had played last year when we had talked about this.
I must be pretty weak-willed because all it took was falling in love with a man, and now I'm like, not really. I mean, I'm a feminist, but like, kind of. I don't really need my maiden name. I don't really need it. I like your last name better anyway. Like, I'll just take that. I know he can do his own laundry. I know that he can clean the house, but I want to do it for him. I want to cook all his meals. I want to make sure he's getting all his whole grains, all his vegetables. I want to make sure he's getting all that protein. He has not asked any of this of me. It just kind of naturally kicks in. Like, these instincts just kind of come out of like, oh, now I have to take care of you when you're sick. Oops, I made you breakfast and it fits all of your dietary requirements. My bad. I think I got possessed by a housewife. Is that what happens?
So wouldn't that be cool if that's what happens here? This is a very influential person. I know she doesn't influence you one whit, but how big would that be? Not just for Taylor Swift or not just for a couple of voters out there, but I mean, the country of America, if she converts hundreds of thousands, millions maybe of voters, what a huge impact this could have. Here's another viral video, another conversion.
I saw a girl on here say that when you have a good man, you're going to be in that kitchen and you're going to like it. And I could not agree more, because I was such a like, no, he can make his own food. No, I'm not going to get up at 3-4 in the morning and like make lonchas. Like, I'm not going to do that. And you know, now that I have a good man, now that I'm being taken care of, yes, sir, expeditiously. Oh, your grandma used to make carne guisada and homemade tortillas, and that was like your favorite thing? Cool, I'm going to learn to make carne guisada and homemade tortillas. It's that simple. I hate dishes. I absolutely hate the dishes. Now, you need me to wash the dishes? I'll do you one better. I'll deep clean the sink afterwards, too.
Oh, ladies, how did marriage change your politics? Do you think it's going to change Taylor? Do you think it's going to change Travis? I don't know where he stands politically. I think he kind of leans left, but I don't know. It'd be hard to be too full-throated about it if you're standing next to Taylor Swift at all times. But back to the Taylor-Travis situation. I know you think, I don't care. And look, it doesn't directly affect you, but it may indirectly affect you pretty hard coming up, because these people have a lot of sway. And if she's going to continue being a political animal, which once you start being a political animal, they're not going to stop asking you those questions. We have a real chance here for millions of young ladies, and I guess a few men, to be influenced in the right direction this time. You know, one of the painful truths about so many of these artists is that they really are influential. I know they don't influence you, but they do influence millions. And this might actually work in your favor. Now, you see this happen with other people. It was interesting in the rap world how many endorsements Trump got last year from guys, and not all rappers. It was mostly guys who had been in the business for 10, 20 years. We're talking about like 50 Cent, of course, Kanye, Lil Wayne, Ice Cube. There was a whole flood of the rap world that came out to be pro-Trump. But it was the older set. And if you don't think that has any sort of influence, look how it worked out. He got a much higher proportion of that vote than anyone had in a long time with an R next to their name. And so Taylor Swift may be going through the same evolution. Now, I talk about how marriage changes women, and it does, but I think it's probably more so having the children. So if she turns around and has kids real quick, prepare to notice some changes. I got an email here from Libby, who says politics changed her marriage, as in ended it. She had no idea how being a conservative in the 80s would ultimately end my marriage 13 years later. Oh my goodness. I know several of those stories of people whose political opinions ruin their marriage. You're not the only one. I hear that a lot. But let's not imagine that. Let's imagine Taylor Swift doing the natural evolution that so many other people do, and She gets married and has a kid. And once you have a kid, for the first time in my life, I don't know about you, but for the first time in my life, when I had a kid, my job wasn't my top priority. My career, I should say, wasn't my top priority. It instantly became my second priority. Wow, that's a bold statement. So Taylor Swift has the most successful music career on planet Earth. Is that all about to take backseat to a baby? Let's see. Let's see how she changes. Because when you have a kid, that's huge. It's really hard to be pro-family and hold on to some of those liberal values. Number one, you have to make it past abortion. If she's going to get pregnant, is she going to keep it full term? Well, that's going to disappoint some people who are hoping. There's some people out there, some pro-abortion ghouls, some just absolute demons out there who are hoping that she gets pregnant and aborts it and is public with it and is such a shining example of how this is a critical right for women. It's also hard to be pro-family and be liberal because it also requires being straight for the most part. I mean, I guess you could adopt, but, not quite the same thing as biological mom and dad having a kid. It also might change your opinion on some of the materials that are in your kid's library at school. It's easy to be all libertine about, sexual obscenities in elementary school libraries when you don't have any kids, when it's not going to be your kids that are being traumatized. It also might change your mind on gun control. I played the clip from Whitney Cummings earlier where she immediately, one of the first things that converted her when she had kids was getting a gun.
It's been fascinating because I've been on this sort of journey through motherhood where, I've always been a very liberal person, maybe even a libtard. But once you have a kid, you start having thoughts that have been characterized as conservative. Yes. As soon as I had a kid, I was like, I need a gun now. Not for myself, because I've got coyotes in my yard. Right. I've got coyotes everywhere. And before I had a kid, I was like, they coexist with us. Coyotes were here first. I'm in the coyotes' home. Now I'm like, let's make hats out of them. Let's make hats. Let's make coyote boots, coyote earrings out of their eyeballs. It's just...
Yeah, and that's just one of many things. Once you have kids, that has to necessarily affect your opinion on defund the police. Do you want your kids running around the streets that have defunded police, or do you want a strong police presence? Do you want law enforcement that's actually effective and catches criminals and puts them behind bars? And, we can't just keep them with no bail. And yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. It'll change your stance on immigration, on illegal immigration at least. It'll probably soften your stance on women in the workplace. Yes, women, they deserve equal pay for equal work and whatnot, but having a career should not be a woman's most important priority, especially once she has kids. It's totally acceptable and normal and not at all a patriarchal oppression to put motherhood above your career. It also might change their stance on some of these huge advantages that women get when it comes to divorce and alimony and child support and custody hearings, because these are all incentives that rip a family apart. But we're going to get a couple of clues real quick. Is she going to have a baby soon? And is she going to keep her last name? Is she going to hyphenate her last name? I don't know the answers to these questions, but watch this. You may not be interested in this now, but this may be one of the greatest things that happens to the movement in years. All right, coming up next on The James Show, North Texas has the hottest real estate market in the country. 5 of the top 10. It's McKinney, if you haven't already seen the article and wherever you look. But we have 5 of the top 10. Now, my next guest helps me with some of these issues when it comes to home building and supplies and sometimes even tariff talk. Lance Thorelkill's back on. Now, I know him from All Metals Fabricating up in Allen, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And then I see you also have this other company where you started doing, I've seen this online, the 3D printed concrete houses?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know you were doing that. When did that start?
We co-founded it back in 2023. We joined with my partner. He'd started the journey in 2019 and printed the 7th and 8th 3D printed homes in America over in Maybank and Malakoff area. We're by Cedar Creek Lake in 2021.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
And that's when I started taking interest and all here at All Metals, we partnered with him and redesigned the machine and trying to bring a manufacturing efficiency focused mindset to construction.
So I've seen that. It's the one that has the big arm and it just does one layer of the floor plan at a time, just like a 3D printer. But man, that's cool. I didn't know you were doing that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. There's ARM systems. Ours is actually a gantry system.
What does that mean?
Yeah, the easiest.
What's a gantry?
So it moves on think of like stage, poles, how they, you see staging equipment with the truss work. So imagine like truss work and like a printer moving along the horizontals of the truss work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
And when people hear 3D printing a home, they're like, that's like kind of like over most people's head. The easiest way to describe it is like a soft serve ice cream dispenser, except dispensing concrete. So printing is what throws people off. But it's just dispensing concrete, and you can either use a robotic arm or a gantry system or a system on a track. And like you said, it just prints layer by layer, the wall system for the house.
All right, we're getting way off topic here. My guest, Lance Thrailkill.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. I just I chase rabbits sometimes. I'm glad you went with me. So the hottest market, and there's different ways you could measure this, but it's kind of hard to argue. McKinney, Texas. Not a surprise, is it, Lance?
No, North Texas just continuing to grow, and for the past really 20 years, it's been one of the top markets in the country.
So when you look around at the housing landscape, would you say housing is now more affordable or less affordable than it was 5-10 years ago?
I mean, I think it's undeniable. It's less affordable. I mean, also recent report that 28% of the homes in America are deemed affordable, which is typically 30% of that area's gross income. So they take their, the average gross income, 30% of the, spending 30% of your income on a house is what deems it affordable. So 28% of the country is affordable, has affordable housing.
So how much has the increase in the price to build a new house played into this? You're a guy that, supplies some inputs there. What do you see on your side?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a three-pronged approach. There's three levers that control the cost of a house. It's the interest rate, the land, and then the construction. And so, you can't really, land's going to go up and up, and there's not much you can do that other than the government subsidizing it. The interest rate we can't control, but it's moving in the right direction. But construction costs have increased. It started, in the last 5 years, construction costs have gone up 30%. And that was pre this round of tariffs. So, we expect, some more increases as well. That's just on materials. And then you got the skilled labor shortage, which drives up costs as well. And deportations certainly don't help that because a lot of them work in the paint and roofing and framing industry.
Right. Lance Thrailkill, what do we, I think one of the biggest players here that we can't do a whole lot about is the mortgage rate. It seems that has a big effect on people's buying power.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I mean, historically we're right at a pretty good spot. So I think we've just been, the last 20 years, we've enjoyed a false reality or the majority of the last 20 years. And so, 5 3/4, 6% is historically really good. I won't forget when I bought my first house, I got 5 and I think it was 5.5 or something like that. And my dad said that was the best rate he'd ever seen. So, it's all about perspective, right?
Well, just for the further numbers, if you got a $320,000 house in January of 2021, you could have paid as low as a 2.65% interest rate. Right now, it's around 6.75%. That's a difference of $600 a month. So I think that's huge. I mean, that's the same as
significant.
As getting a raise, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lance.
Yeah, but I mean, we really got to attack the things we can. I mean, the reality is construction industry, we're still building homes the same way we did 100 years ago. What industry in the world are we doing things the same way we did 100 years ago?
Well, it says the 3D printed concrete guy, right? How expensive is that compared to the price of a normal home, a 3D printed house?
It's, it depends on who the builder is, right? Icons. For us, I'll speak for us alone. We're about 20% under traditional construction and about 30 to 40% faster. You're removing framing, sheetrock, masonry. With sheetrock comes another group of trades that do tape, bed, and texture. Paint. You don't have to paint the house. You can certainly paint the cabinetry inside still. So you're moving 4 to 5 trades there.
So it's cheaper?
So you can really expedite the process. It is less money. It costs less. It's faster, which is also cheaper. Less interest payments during the construction phase. And the scalability is the key.
All right,
Lance, it's a supply and demand issue, right?
Let's talk about this on a future episode. I'm out of time here, but I want to talk to you about the 3D printed houses. That's pretty cool stuff. Lance Thrill-Kill, you can find him All Metals Fabrication and Printed Technologies. Thank you, sir. Coming up next on the James Show, Donald Trump's talking about going into Chicago because D.C. has been such a success. Chicago's not a big fan. Where do you stand? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.